Welcome to the Truman Charities podcast. I'm Jamie Truman, your host. I cannot believe it is 2025 already. I'm really excited to talk about what we were able to accomplish last year, how much money we've raised total since 2010 when Truman Charities began, what we're planning on for this year, the different organizations that we're going to be helping. And then also, I want to share a little bit about thinking of New Year's resolutions, and everyone's talking about what resolution that they've had in the past that really has changed their life. And one of the resolutions that my husband and I came up with a few years ago has really changed our marriage. And I want to share that with you guys too. So let's get into all this great stuff that we have that went on in 2024 and the great stuff in 2025. Plus, we have this new yearly sponsorship opportunity for individuals, and it's great for small businesses. So we'll go through with that too, where you not only are going to benefit at our events, but also in our Bethesda's Best happy hours too. You love Truman Charities and you love this podcast. The absolute best thing that you could do for me is to rate and review this podcast. So please pause for a second, either on your Spotify or your Apple app, and make sure to write us a review. It'll take a few seconds and it really does mean so much. It goes a long way. That is how we're able to grow this podcast for more people to learn about all the wonderful things that we have going on. So let's talk about 2024. So if people don't know, Truman Charities is a 100% volunteer-based organization. I am one of the co-founders. We've been around since 2010, and we raise money for various different charities each year by hosting 3 different events. We have our annual Derby party, we have our family fun event, and then we have our annual Halloween party. And also outside of that, we do Bethesda's Best happy hour, which is not charitably inclined, but it's a great way for people in the area to get together and to network and to help one another. And also, when I started this podcast in 2021, it was to help get the word out about different nonprofits in the area, a catalog for people to find an organization that resonates with them. And then it's expanded a little bit to just thought leaders in the community that are really making a difference that I find really fascinating. And the great thing is that as a thank you to all of our guests, we donate $250 to their organization if I'm talking to a nonprofit founder, or if I'm talking to a thought leader that's really making a difference, then we donate to a charity that they're involved in or really means a lot to them personally. So it's a really great way to learn about someone too. Let's talk about 2024. So within our 3 events, and then also with my book launch and the sales of the book, if you guys don't know, I wrote a book and it debuted in March. It's called Vanishing Fathers, The Ripple Effect on Tomorrow's Generation. It's about the importance of fathers in the family unit. And what the great thing about this is that I interviewed people from all different walks of life, mostly men. I did interview a few women as well, but these individuals have either lost their father, had a complicated relationship with their father, and have been able to overcome that and become really wonderful people in the community. And most of the men that I spoke with are wonderful husbands and fathers now themselves. And what I did is I took everyone that I interviewed and I created this book, but also I aired the interviews too on the podcast. Make sure to look at Vanishing Fathers series that I have. Just scroll down. I think it's around episode 90. You'll start seeing the Vanishing Fathers series. And it's really interesting to hear the people's voices too, as they tell their different stories. And actually our most listened to and downloaded episode of 2024 was someone from the book, Peter Grumville. He's actually local to the DMV area. We know him well. He's a wonderful friend, great husband and father. And so he actually grew up in a cult and then ended up graduating from Yale Law School. It's a really interesting and fabulous story. And that is actually our most downloaded episode of 2024. Okay, so let's get down to what we were able to raise. So Our derby party, we raised $40,000. Our book party plus the book sales, because 100% of the proceeds from the book go directly to charity. We raised $81,000 so far. I love that this number continues to grow the more people that are purchasing the book. Our family fun event raised around $15,000, Halloween $45,000, and through our podcast, the donations through this was $6,500. So our total for 2024 was $187,500. So total raised since 2010 is $2,335,875, which I am so happy to say. And again, remember, this is a 100% volunteer-based organization. So every single dollar raised goes directly to the nonprofit that is the beneficiary for that event. So that is really incredible. I'm excited to see what 2025 can have in store. So we'll have our Derby party, which will be for Interfaith Works. Now that organization I interviewed, it's one of my first interviews. So I'm going to interview them again because if I go to some of my first interviews, it's so cringy, right? So of course, when you start doing anything, you're making mistakes, right? So anyways, and since 2021, a lot has changed. So I'll be talking to the executive director, Courtney Hall, again. We'll talk about their organization again. So that'll probably air maybe about 6 weeks before our Derby event. And their organization is A to Z. They help with housing. They help with employment opportunities, clothing, food, the whole 9 yards. So I really love how they are helping someone from the very beginning and then also helping them achieve the goal of being able to be on their own and be productive within society. So that's a really great organization. Our family fun, that will be for just trying it, as they are an organization that helps local families that have a child in treatment for pediatric cancer. They do this by hosting a kids triathlon each year. And so my son and his buddies, they have a team going and they run it every year. I don't know. I'm hoping Antonio, my little guy, can jump on this year and do it too, but we'll see. But that's really fun. We have food trucks and moon bounces, and that's the one event that it's bring your kids, bring your grandkids, whole family. And then our Halloween is going to be for Salute Military Golf Association. That was our Veterans Day podcast when I spoke with Chris Johnson, which is the executive director and one of their veterans that's very much involved within the organization, and how golf is providing these great therapeutic opportunities to wounded servicemen and women. And it was really touching interview. And after I spoke with CJ and veteran Jason David, I called my husband. I thought, this is such a great organization to have for one of our events. And so we decided then we were going to do the Halloween event for Salute Military Golf Association. So make sure to go back and take a listen to our Veterans Day episode. And then also I'm going to be doing a Memorial Day series too. That will obviously be airing around Memorial Day, where I'm going to talk to different veterans and so you can hear about their experiences. And also I do plan on doing another Father's Day series, which will focus around different men that have grown up with complicated relationship with their father, or their father wasn't around, and been able kind of to overcome that and really become wonderful husbands and fathers and making a real difference in the community. So I'm going to do a Father's Day series too. This is a really cool thing that we came up with for 2025. We have this great new sponsorship level that's an annual sponsorship opportunity that we started in 2025. And I think we have about 20 sponsors already. We'll run through them real quick too. But this is perfect for small business owners. It's a great way to thank your employees, clients, just friends and family. This is a $2,500 sponsorship opportunity. $1,000 will go to our Derby party, $500 will go to our family fun event, and then $1,000 for our Halloween. So $1,000 to Interfaith Works, $500 just trying it, and then $1,000 to Salute Military Golf Association. And of course, 100% goes to the sponsored charity. Let me explain exactly what you get with the sponsorship opportunity for our 3 events that we have going on. The 2 events, the Derby and the Halloween party, where we have our raffle tickets. You'll get 25 raffle tickets 8 gas tickets and an entry to this special sponsor raffle. For just trying it, you'll also get 8 tickets as well. And then we also still have a special sponsor raffle for that as well. For the Kentucky Derby and the Halloween, you'll get to vote for best dressed, recognition before, during, and after the charity events, and recognized at our 5 Bethesda's Best Happy Hours, plus 8 guests at no cost. It is a really fantastic opportunity, especially if you are a small business owner. The committed sponsors that we have already, which is fantastic, is we have First Home Mortgage, Cindy Truman Hall, Lighthouse Insurance, Small Business Advisors, Ross Residential, Nancy Palermo, First Washington Mortgage. So what else? So Law Office of Chip Linscomb, Lucy, Electric Advisors, Scotty's Vodka, Pete Kimbis, and then we've Aspen Real Estate, The Organic Butcher, and Tommy Joe's. Those are sponsors that we have committed so far, and I'm really excited to see kind of the new sponsors that we have come on for 2025. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to email me at info@trumancharities.com. So let's talk about what we have going on for our schedule so you guys can put this on your calendars. All right. Okay. So here we 2025, but this is Best Happy Hours will be on February 13th. We have one on March 13th, and we have one April 10th. Then we have our Derby party for Interfaith Works. That will be May 3rd. And then we'll have another Bethesda's Best Happy Hour June 12th. Our family fun event will be September 7th. As you can see, we take a month off in January before we start kicking things off. And then we also take a little bit of time off in the summer to enjoy time in the sun with your kids. So the family fun event is September 7th. Then we have our Bethesda's Best Happy Hour, which will actually be September 18th. And then Salute Military Golf Association Halloween party will be October 25th. And then we will have our last Bethesda's Best Happy Hour on November 13th. So that is our schedule. So make sure to I'll mark all of those on your calendar so you don't miss anything. And of course, if you're not on our newsletter, then make sure to email me and I will put you on our newsletter. And for some reason, if you have emailed me and you're not receiving the newsletter, please reach out to me again, because sometimes we do MailChimp and sometimes that just ends up in your junk until you actually get one of them from your junk and move it to your inbox, and then you'll get them moving forward. So that is that's a lot of stuff that we had to go over, recapping 2024 and the excitement that we have going on for 2025. And then let's talk about the resolutions. Everybody has these wonderful resolutions each year. And I wanted to discuss one that really made a difference with Jerry and I in our marriage. Before you get married, you're always spending so much time with your significant other. And then when we got married, my stepson, Zach, he was 8. And so we had him half of the time. So we still had half of the time with Zach, half of the time with just us, which was plenty of time. Like we spent so much time, like a lot of quality time together. And then we had our first son, Dominic. And still, even when you have the first kid, you have nap times and they go to bed early. And there is still a lot of time for you guys to carve out for each other. But then when we got pregnant with our little guy, Antonio, Jerry was like, we really have to focus more on like where we're going to get this quality time together, because as anyone listening knows, when you're pregnant with your first kid, that's a totally different animal than being pregnant with your second kid while your first child is a toddler. Because when that second kid comes, there is no sleep. So when the toddler's sleeping, the baby's up. And when the baby's sleeping, the toddler's up. So you're running on nothing, right? Running on fumes. So we decided that when I was pregnant with Antonio, that we were going to make sure that we did a weekly date night. Like, regardless of what was going on, we were going to do this date night. So during pregnancy with Antonio, we made sure every Friday night we would go out, and we would go out early because Dominic, we still wanted to be able to put him to bed and to spend a little bit of time with him. We get made fun of, but our date nights start at 4:30. They're like from 4:30 to 6:30. They've actually pushed a little bit since Antonio is 4 now, from 5 to 7, but we still get made fun of all the time because we go to our local club every single Friday. And they just know, they're like, oh, the Trumans are here. We're like the first people there. But they always know that we are a weekly standing date night. And even when I did have Antonio and I nursed both of my boys for the first year, and we only have that small 2-hour window before feedings when they're really little. So I would nurse, hand them right over to my mom. We would get in the car, and then we would be able, it's 15 minutes to the club. We'd have an hour and a half and then 15 minutes back. And exactly by 6:30, I was home for the next feeding. But honestly, what I see is that if we go a week without it, I do feel that there is some sort of, it starts to get that little bit of a disconnect, because I'm home with the kids and I run Truman Charities and do the podcast. And my husband is in finance. He's very busy, and he also has a lot of different work events at night. So during the week, we're really busy. We try, of course, to have family dinners most nights. I'm between, he gets home, we have dinner, and then usually maybe 1 or 2 nights out of the week he has work events too. So it really is very easy if you're not like checking back in and just remembering once a week, oh, this is why we got married. This is why I love this person so much. And you really get to talk about your weeks and connect and make plans for the following week and just check in with each other. I think it's extremely important. I would say outside of us having family dinners most nights, trying to do that. This is first and foremost. These date nights are so important. And I guess Antonio's 4. So we started doing these 5 years ago. It was a resolution we made 5 years ago. And I would have to say that's the best decision that me and Jerry have made for our family. So I'm interested to see what your resolution is for this year. I'd love to hear. Email me, let me know. I'm excited to hear like what resolutions that maybe you have for 2025, which ones you've had. Like I mentioned that we did years ago that have had such a positive impact in our lives. I'd love to hear that. But again, like if you enjoy these podcasts and if you enjoy like Truman Charities and you want to help, make sure again to please review this podcast and also share any episode that you really enjoy with your friends and family. It does really mean so much to us. I am beyond excited for what we're going to be able to raise in 2025. I have some really cool guests coming up. Even just in January, I've said the founder of Screen Strong. So we talk and we go over exactly what happens with the brain with kids and different types of electronics. And it's really fascinating. So that you have to look forward to. That one's going to publish in probably 2 weeks or like a week and a half. That'll be my first one in January. Then I talked to a woman who's just really changing the game when it comes to school lunches and trying to make them much healthier for children. And so that's really cool. That'll be like end of January. We have some really great stuff coming up. So make sure to subscribe to our podcast. Just click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. I really hope you enjoy these podcasts as much as I love doing these. I hope to see a lot of new faces this year at our events. So if you have, of course, any questions, reach out to me anytime. If you do email me and I don't answer, just email me a couple more days. Again, this is a volunteer-based organization, so I try my hardest to get back with everybody as soon as possible, but give me a little bit of leeway on that. All right, thanks again, everybody, for tuning into another episode of the Truman Charities Podcast. Until next time. If you liked this episode, please make sure to rate and review our podcast. That is how more people learn about the Truman Charities Podcast and our organization. And to make sure you don't miss any of our future episodes, subscribe. If you'd like to follow Truman Charities, you can follow us on Facebook at Truman Charities, Instagram at Jamie_Truman Charities, and check out our website, trumancharities.com.